to that because that's a great story. Still involved 30 years later. Is that correct?
I was able to pay my way through the entrepreneur and business school at USC in Los Angeles. I had been focused on Japanese and Korea and India real estate prior to the industry. I said, there are 7 billion people almost over on the other side of the world. How about we go to Korea? And I got a team together of Korean partners in Los Angeles, and I was able to open our first international market, and that's been our largest market.
Hello everyone, this is Edgardo Valdivieso here from my house in Las Vegas. Welcome to one more show of Edgardo Valdivieso Show. And wow, today we have a great friend, a great leader that his story is amazing. But before that, don't forget to subscribe and give us a like because this channel is growing every single day. And now it's an honor to have my friend Greg McTee. Did I say it right, Greg?
You did, Edgardo. You did. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to have you on our show, my friend, and come and tell us your story and your business story, your professional career. So welcome. Before that, can you just share a little bit about your life before we get to, when it comes how you got involved in business and network marketing, my friend?
Sure. And Edgardo, thank you for the introduction. And I watch most of your podcasts. You're very talented, really adding value to the marketplace. So just want to thank you from all the industry. You probably hear that a lot. In terms of my background, real quickly, I grew up in a very small town, Homer, Alaska, had about 800 people in it. And I moved to California when I was a young teen, around 13 years old. Had the blessing to get into some sports. I went to Arcadia High School, and I was a little bit of a rebel. I wasn't very good at schoolwork. I was more, interested in what was going out on the ball field. But I ended up doing some football and pole vault. I actually set the pole vault record for the Arcadia High School, which stood for several decades. And from there, I started a small business right out of high school that was waxing exotic cars. It was by accident that I had come across that idea, and nobody had really been doing that at the time. And so that business started to grow very, very quickly. I got lucky and met somebody who knew somebody up in Beverly Hills, so I would drive all the way up there, and before you know it, I was up there every weekend waxing cars to a lot of the stars and business owners that are, very famous and successful. So the reason I share that with you is because of that car business, I was able to pay my way through USC Business School. I went through the entrepreneur and business school at USC in Los Angeles. But what was amazing is while I was on the driveways in all of these homes, working and waxing cars, these entrepreneurs, both men and women, were telling me how they built their businesses, what they went through. And to be honest, I learned as much on the driveway from the actual entrepreneurs than I did at school. And from there, I jumped into commercial real estate and did that for quite a while.
Oh, wow. What a story. Oh, that's great. So you learned from different successful people from LA, from Beverly Hills, this very successful business people.
Yeah. It was fascinating.
And that's what we're trying to do here on this channel, to bring successful people like you and come and tell their story so people can listen and learn, not only learn the success, but all the struggles from the beginning. Okay, because a lot of people, they only see the success. They only see, once you're making, the big money, but they don't see the struggles.
Yes.
They don't see the beginning. They don't see the nonstop that you got to go through at the beginning. And, those days that you want to quit and you just have the reason why that you don't quit and you just keep going. You keep going. You keep going. So, but before we go to, growing up, okay, what was your dreams growing up? Tell us a little bit about you, about your family, whatever you want to share, my friend.
Sure. So, when I was young, privately, I actually grew up in foster homes. And so by the time I got out to Arcadia as a teen, as I kind of went through all of these uh, uh, life journeys, if you will, creating your business, making money, learning from various people. The most important thing that I got out of it was when I got older, I got married and had three sons. And what happened was I really had a strong urge to spend a lot of quality time with the family. So, I wanted to do date night, for example, with my wife. I wanted to be at the kids' practices, things like that. So the reason I share that, that was kind of my big why in going into the industry. I came into the industry accidentally. I was in commercial real estate, and I was running a company called Colliers International. We did commercial real estate, not residential. And I was blessed just due to the timing, and I had a great mentor. But what people don't realize is a lot of these things that we go through, sometimes we think, hey, it's not fair. Why am I going through that? But it actually is where you get a lot of your power and your energy to go on to success. So, what I would share with a lot of the colleagues out there, which they know, is all of these experiences have already equipped you to go straight to the top. Everything that you've gone through, both good and bad, makes you stronger, and it can be applied in our industry and or even other industries.
Wow. So, what was your dreams growing up? I mean, I can see that you were great. You love sports, and you were playing
Yeah,
football in high school.
yeah. Yeah, so my dream, what happened when I started to get into the pole vault, I was lucky because I had some good genes from my grandpa, so I was pretty quick. But I was in varsity football, varsity basketball, and varsity track, and for some strange reason, I really migrated to the track in the pole vault. So my dream was to actually set the pole vault world record when I was jumping, I got as high as 17 feet 3 inches, and the world record I think at the time was about 18.1. So I really actually believed, Edgardo, that I'm going to set the world record. I'm going to go to the Olympics. But what I didn't realize at the time was that that extra foot, is a difference. A skill level needed to go there is a completely different mindset. But and then I looked at possibly tennis. I thought maybe I could get into a pro sport, but quickly learned that you need a lot of dedication and work, and you got to be in that sport indefinitely. And I wasn't willing to do that. I was kind of more interested in business, and so I kind of diverted my energies from being some kind of a pro athlete into just being a good businessman.
Oh, great. So, Greg, so how you got involved in direct sales, in network marketing?
Wow, great question. So real interesting story. When I came out in commercial real estate, the very first transaction that I came across was with a company called Herbal Life, and I had no idea who they were. Their real estate guy, I believe his name was Craig Cahow, and the owner was Mark Hughes. And I ended up renting them a big 70,000 square foot building down in Rancho Dominguez, Los Angeles, which is where I used to sell the real estate. And I got to meet Mark briefly, but I didn't get to talk to him too long. But he made a comment to me. I was surprised because he was my age. I'm right out of college, and this guy comes up in a black Rolls Royce convertible. He's renting a building. I had no idea he was so young and such an entrepreneur. But anyway, I was talking to his real estate partner, who was really not in the business that Mark was in. He was just more of an executive. And I asked him, I said, hey, what do you guys sell? And he said, well, we're in herbal products. And at that time, to me, I didn't really gravitate or understand herbal products. But if he would have said, hey, you can work remotely, on the side while you maintain your career, and this could set you financially free, I probably would have been in sooner. But that was actually my first knowledge of a company in our industry. And then I got called by a company called New Skin, very successful, very prestigious group. The only reason they called me is in commercial real estate, I was representing Japanese companies. So one of my clients was Canon Copiers out of Japan. And so they knew that I was interacting with a lot of Japanese companies while I was in Los Angeles. So the reason they called me is they were expanding to Japan. And long story short, I didn't really catch that opportunity. They said that they were in skincare, and shame on me, but I was very young, and I wasn't using skincare at the time. I just graduated, so once again, I didn't see the opportunity as quickly. And then I came across Rexall Sundown, which is the old Rexall drugstores that were started in 1903. And they created the division called Unicity, which of course I'm in. And that's how I got into the industry. So really kind of, knocking on the door of a couple of real big companies. But the third one I finally got took me a little while.
So the first approach was Herbalife, the first company, and you did not get involved.
Yeah, I didn't get involved. In fact, I
Okay.
wasn't invited on the business. What happened was I was in commercial real estate, and I was doing business with them, renting them a building. So I wasn't exposed to the network distribution model. But I thought it was interesting later that was, that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
And you did not get involved. You didn't get involved in New Skin
Did
either.
not. Nope. Nope.
Okay.
And I won't mention
So
the distributor, but it was a master distributor from New Skin that had called me. Very, very successful guy. Everybody on the planet knows who he is. And but they were talking about skincare. And I don't know about you, Edgardo, but when you're in your 20s, we're not really using skincare back then. So the light bulb didn't go on.
I get it. I understand that 100%.
I was
Yes.
a
So
little slow to the draw. Just shows anybody can do the business.
I mean, yeah, no, I get it. So Unicity. So how you got involved in Unicity? I mean, how you got invited? Because that's important in the industry. The
Yeah.
way people approach you in this kind of industry.
Wow. Yeah. Very, very, very well said. And that's kind of my point. What happened is somebody finally invited me correctly to the industry. In short, what happened, I was in commercial real estate. I had another real estate guy said, "Hey, Greg, if you could," I mean, he literally said this, "if you could make 15 to 25,000 a month, on the side, maybe over the next year or two, while you keep doing real estate, would you be open to that?" Well, I immediately gravitated to that because I'm business acclimated. I didn't even know what it was, but the point is that individual invited me correctly, and that's how I stepped into the industry. That's how I found the company. Just proper invite. And by the way, my sponsor quit. He quit the business
What?
like,
And,
6 months later.
and you know what? Hold on to that because that's a great story. Okay. But
Yeah.
so you did get involved in Unicity and you're still involved 30 years later. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So
Yeah.
so you got invited, you signed in, and tell us from the beginning because that's very, very important for those people who are watching that the beginning is the most important to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so first of all, what's interesting is the most important thing is, your why. So the why will get you up early and get you to bed late, provided you have this focus on any business, whatever that might be. So my why at the time was very, very strong. In commercial real estate, we left at 7 a.m. We came home at 9, sometimes after paperwork, go to bed at 11. And even though I was blessed financially and living in a beautiful place, I was not spending any time with family. And you know, Edgardo, as I do, if you chase the money, it's slow to come. But if you focus on the people and the team and building a proper, board of directors to work with, you're going to go big. So my why was really big, and that was the first thing. The second thing was when I went down to Unicity, it was under the Rexall Sundown, Rexall Showcase. What was interesting is being in commercial real estate, the Rexall drugstores, they had like 12,000 retail stores scattered all over the U.S., started in 1903, and there's still some today. So I think it was a convergence of things. One, it was my why. I had a strong why. I wanted to create some kind of a franchise where I could earn a passive residual income, and I would let that income, allow me to travel the world, which was, where my dreams were headed, and also to spend all the time with family. For example, I was at all of the boys' practices, their games, etc. So the second thing was with the convergence is when I went down to Florida, which is where they were a brick and mortar. So they were an existing pharmacy chain. They weren't a regular direct sales or MLM that had started out of a garage. And there's nothing wrong with that. Microsoft started out of a garage. But I guess for me, going down there, seeing the large commercial building, and then I was able to meet with the owners, two of them, which were actual billionaires at the time. It was down in Boca Raton, Florida. And so it gravitated to me. There was energy there. Here's commercial buildings. Here is my why is strong. I'm looking for a passive residual income. And then when I sat down with them, I asked them about their international expansion. What are your plans? And they kind of looked around and said, "What are you talking about? We're just starting. We want to get the USA going." And so my commercial real estate background once again came in because I had been focused on Japanese and Korea and India real estate prior to the industry. And so when I sat with them, I said, "Hey guys, can I run something by you?" They're probably looking at me like I was crazy, but it worked. And I said, there are 7 billion people almost over on the other side of the world. We're in an all natural, nutraceutical environment here. That's very common over there. And how about we go to Korea? And they said, well, we got to get the U.S. going. But long story short, Edgardo, what happened was I got a team together of Korean partners in Los Angeles, and I was able to open our first international market for Unicity, and that was in Korea. And that's been our largest market ever since it opened. Very, very dynamic market. So a little bit of luck along the way and a lot of hard work.
So you telling me, yeah, you told them, the company, that you want to open South Korea. You have
Correct.
good contacts over there.
Yeah.
So you started, they said, we got to get the US going. So you start looking for that community in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So
correct.
build locally and start thinking about globally in South Korea, saying down the road, we can open over there.
Correct. And that's the advice I always shared with my colleagues along the way. Yeah. Build locally.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Vietnam, build locally and then jump to there once you have a core of partners that are on top of things.
You know what? And that's a very good advice. Very good. And so tell us at the beginning, tell us the challenges that you had at the beginning for those people that are watching, because you're very successful. Okay. And we're going to talk about a little bit more about that. But tell us the challenges in the industry for those people that they're just getting in right now. And you know what? They don't know really how to start. Just tell us your challenges.
Yeah. So I would say to anybody getting in the industry now, your biggest challenge will be you. It's your own mindset. We are our biggest enemy. We have self-talk. And so I was real big on focusing on leadership development. The more you could read or watch on leadership development, the stronger the mindset. So your biggest challenge will be you. And a lot of people are fearful in general. But the reality is, 99% of what we fear in the industry or other things never happens. And so what you really got to do is have the courage and just move forward, kind of Mach 2 with your hair on fire, move forward, taking action that is productive and meets the strategy, the end goal. But it doesn't mean your fear is going to go away. It's going to be right there with you. But now you're breaking through, and these small breakthroughs, you got to give yourself a pat on the back. You got to give yourself some wins. But the biggest challenge would be on a personal level. I was blessed. Our company has, never let us down. We have 5 manufacturing facilities globally. We are debt free. I believe we're the only direct sales company that's, debt free. We're in 60 markets. So the management was ultimately very, very conservative, and every expansion was a strong one. And I mention that because sometimes when we go, people like to jump into brand new companies, and what they don't realize, a brand new company could be the biggest risk at all. And if you're going to put your reputation a year, 2 years, 3 years into a business, you want to make sure you're standing on granite, a foundation that allows you and the team to build to the highest levels. So that was the biggest challenge, just mindset initially.
So how
For
big?
example, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well,
You were going to give an example. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead, Edgardo. I cut you off there. Forgive
Okay,
me.
so let's go back now. So you took this business, okay, to South Korea. So how big is the business right now? I mean, tell us, you took it over there. How fast did that business start really, creating momentum?
Well, so I had to I had to build locally for a good 6 months and set kind
Okay.
of a minimum base in order for the company to jump over there. But I can share a couple of things with you, kind of high level. So the first month we opened, we did over 1.6 million in sales. And when you're starting out
What?
in the
The
business, you're trying to
first
get
month in South
10,000
Korea?
total. Yeah, the first month that we opened, we did 1.6 million in sales. Um, they have done well over
Wow.
$1 billion in sales since then, and they, some of our top incomes. In fact, the 2 highest ranks in the company right now at Global Ambassador are, my Korean partners, 2 women that are just phenomenal. They're amazing. They've taken the business to a whole
So
nother level. In fact, one of them, we've got some pretty big bonuses. One of them just collected a $1 million bonus last August, and I think she's 65, 66. And when people are coming in the business and think, well, I'm too young, I'm too old, I didn't have an education, or those are all excuses. All you need is one reason to really move forward with great velocity, and if you have that, you'll go build an empire for sure.
So one of you leaders from South Korea, okay, just
Mhm.
received $1 million in
Yeah,
bonuses
big.
last
Yeah,
August, last year.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's an extra
Last
money,
year.
pretty much what you're saying.
That's big money. That's incredible. Yep, Chairman's Club, and what happens is you think, well, they've been in so long, but they're just very, very consistent, and they're totally dedicated to the team. So, yeah, the sky's the limit. And to be honest, anybody coming in the industry now, I think people's incomes and businesses are going to move much faster. You know, for example, we use a little AI in our business in a positive way, but you've got AI. And the biggest challenge we had, as you probably know, Edgardo, was the technology had not caught up to the business many, many years ago. Now the technology is caught up. For example, we have a proprietary member program where if I send 60 texts out to 60 countries, they click on my text, our all natural product pack that reverses type 2 diabetes and all this, they click on it, it's on their doorstep the next day. whether they're in Switzerland, Dubai, you name it. So it's an example of where the industry's gone. So I think it's actually easier to get big and make money in the industry now than it was 20 years ago. It's really exciting.
Oh, 100%. I mean, right now we
Yeah,
have the tools that 20 years ago we didn't have. Okay.
that's right.
Those days
Yeah.
was belly to belly. Okay.
Yes.
These days, AI is another level. So,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
year did you open South Korea? You remember, Greg?
I don't remember the year, but it was approximately 24, 25 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, and you said only South Korea did over $1 billion in sales already?
Yeah. Well over $1 billion. Yes. Yeah.
And how many
And
personals
now we're in. Go ahead.
And how many personals do you have to recruit, personal, your own efforts to achieve this success in this country?
Great question. So when I came into the industry, I kind of applied the same principles that I did in real estate, and that was my income is going to be directly reflective by the quality of the partner I have on my team. So I was actually forgive the term, a little bit more of a hunter. So I always brought out my rifle and the scope, and I didn't come out with a shotgun and talk to 1,000 people. I was really focused, and I was trying to identify people that would really add value, that could maybe build the business even bigger than I. But for me personally, I recruited approximately 62 frontline people, and that has led to a distributor force, quite a large one globally. I actually have income from 15 countries right now.
Okay, so make sure I heard this right. So from this over $1 billion in sales in South Korea, you're saying that you probably had to sponsor two people and just help those two personals develop a very successful international business.
Yeah, now it will depend on a company's comp plan. As you know, some comp plans are not rich in depth. They make you go wide, so that creates a different activity. Our compensation plan, because our owner is quite clever and bright, he's an ex-investment banker. He created a compensation plan that goes very, very deep with dynamic compression. So the reason he did that is he wants people really identifying top leaders and then spending time with them and driving power legs. So many times, you start to build a power leg, but you don't get paid in the lower levels with some of our worthy competitors. So you got to go wide, wide, wide. But our plan, it's a very deep one. So it aligned with my personal personality too. I'm more of a relationship person and really trying to build, something that's going to last indefinitely, a real legacy.
Yeah, 100%. Our model, our business is all about people. And we do
Yeah,
need to have good communication and and be a people person, to be successful
correct.
in this industry. So you already mentioned, just in South Korea over $1 billion in sales. And that's very, very successful. And I heard that you have businesses in over 15 countries. Craig, so your business expand in more than 15 countries.
Yeah. So another country I opened, for example, was India. Um, but yeah, it jumps from border to border, and in fact, right now I'm working on opening possibly another country. So thanks to the technology advancements in our industry and the ability to you know through social media in a typical business to business environment, also, the sky's really the limit.
So you already opened India already.
Yeah, yeah, opened up India. That was really something too. That's a incredible market. Very talented people there.
No, great, great. So, in how many countries have you traveled? I mean, give us a little bit your experience with the different cultures traveling. So, I will probably say you've been in India, you've been in South Korea, and what other markets have you been?
Yeah, so I've been in Indonesia and Hong Kong, Singapore, um, oh my gosh, Malaysia, 32 countries in total. For me, I really, one of my passions, which you asked right up front, is really travel. So the ability to travel to other countries and really enjoy the culture and then, learn how they build and things like that, that was always of interest to me. So along this long journey, sometimes people say, hey, how's it feel? Probably the biggest thing I remember are the relationships, the people, the travel. You're coming into, some tiny airport in the middle of 3:30 in the morning and in a country you've never been. It's just wild, very very exciting, and so I would say a lot of the travel and then just the journey, the relationships that are formed with the team.
Craig, based on your experience, what do you think about network marketing today? Where do you see the industry comparing 20 years ago and the industry right now?
Great question, Edgardo. So you better have your act together. The days of slicing and dicing and dodging are over. People are very sharp, and I think we're going to see, as we have seen recently, many companies close their doors, but they didn't close their doors because they didn't have a great product. They didn't close the doors because the distributors weren't world class. They closed the doors because the management itself was out of control. Once these companies get going, these companies are all borrowing a bunch of money, and then they're doing all kinds of things with the money. So when things get tight, the first thing they want to go after is a compensation plan, when it had nothing to do with the distributors. The distributors have really performed. The products have really performed. It's very important, if you're going to go into a company, you really do some background check on management and make sure that they got their act together. And also, we have some pretty strict laws in the industry. And for example, the federal government is always watching these companies. We have a full member program. I think 80% of acquisition is through a member customer model minimum. I think that's double or triple what most companies have. So it's very important to have a real customer, we call them member base, in addition to a distributor business builder base, which is also consuming the products. But I think the industry is always under scrutiny. And Herbal Life, as you know, went and fought a big battle on behalf of our industry years ago, just being truthful and honest. So as long as you're running your company properly and doing the right things, you're going to really scale, and there's some great opportunities. But the days of cutting the corners, I think, are going to be over. And also reputation. Your reputation is everything in the industry, and it's important that you do what you say you're going to do, whether you're a distributor or a corporate management figure.
100%. So by saying that, the FTC, I mean, going after a lot of MLM companies that they're not,
Yeah,
I mean, they're not following the rules when it comes about promoting, the business the right way. So not just,
correct. Yeah,
and this have to do a lot to the leadership on the field, misleading the prospects, the people.
yep, yep,
And
yep,
and there's, I have seen big companies shutting down overnight. And what
yep.
I
It's
hear from
incredible.
people on the field, that don't be surprised if there's
Yeah,
going to be many, many other companies down the road that they're going to be shut down because their focus is on the business, recruiting, 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 and
yeah,
they don't have, a customer base that will
Yeah.
satisfy the FTC.
Yeah. Very well said. Correct.
So let me ask you this question, okay?
Yeah.
When it comes about our industry, who do you think dominates more, the male or female?
Great question. So, it's a personal opinion, but for example, in my business, 87% of my income is coming from female. The
87%?
female, yeah, yeah. And,
Wow.
what's amazing, I mean, part of that, first of all, the women are very, very sharp. They're fantastic listeners. They control the nutrition in the home. They're highly networked in the community. And they're also, in most cases, very, very methodical and very patient in the build. I know when I started, I was very impatient. I was like a stallion coming out, on the racetrack at a horse race, and I had a good upline mentor that kind of, he didn't hold me back much, but he kind of set expectations. So I would say the women might have a little jump on us, and for good reason. They deserve it. They're fantastic.
Wow. So you're saying female dominates the industry more than 80%, pretty much on your own opinion.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that they dominate 80% of the industry. They're dominating, almost 90% of my income. It's just the way it fell. Those numbers can vary dramatically. But I would say, that's a great question, Edgardo. That's something, with you interviewing all of these incredible leaders around the world, that would be pretty cool for you to go back to your records. And if that question's been asked, because I'm kind of curious, but I think maybe the women technically lead us industry wide too, even though it's a big number here with me.
No, I mean, wow. I mean, I'm not surprised, okay? There's a lot of talent,
Yeah.
a lot of female on the industry that they're a powerhouse, okay? And I have
Yeah.
interviewed
Oh, for
some
sure.
of them, and wow. So let me tell you, when it comes about your company that you've been involved about 30 years, okay?
Yeah. 30 years.
So
Yeah.
let's go, for fact, I'm taking one of the Unimate right now. I'm
Yeah.
taking one
Unimate.
Unimate.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the product. I take Unimate, and I take this
Yeah.
one too. I take this one Balance, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which it comes, Balance at Unimate comes. I love it because you can take it, you can take it anywhere. If you
Yeah.
travel, you can take some of this and I just mix it with
Yeah.
water
The pre-measured sachets. So to answer
and
that question, Edgardo, so here's what's interesting. This is one of the things that caught my attention with Unicity. So Unicity is probably more science-based than we are marketing-based. And marketing, of course, is everything in business. But we grow all of our own. We have all of our own farms. So everything we're doing is all natural, plant-based. The Unimate that you have grows only in Argentina, and not only do we grow at all of our own farms, but we also do all our own R&D, and we're actually manufacturing our own product. We're a complete self-controlled supply chain. Many competitors, they have third-party entities that manufacture for them and white label for them, etc. But Unimate is interesting because here's what's fascinating. The fastest growing part of the economy globally is preventative health care. It's a almost $600 billion industry, and 8 out of 10 Americans, and I've been around the globe a few times now, I would say 8 out of 10 adults globally have some kind of a metabolic disorder. That's insulin resistance, high body fat, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, triglycerides are through the roof. And so these metabolic disorders, they didn't exist when I started in the business. But now it's actually a pandemic. So what drove that was a modern food environment. So we have all of this food that's been created, and it's created a pandemic of obesity. And what's interesting about Unimate, Unimate is an all-natural plant-based product that if you take it in the morning, it cuts off cravings. I mean, it shuts off cravings. If you want to lose 50 or 100 pounds and you're constantly craving, the reason is it's got an all-natural GLP-1 in there. So the GLP-1 increases upwards to 60%. So, what's interesting about that, you've probably heard of Ozempic. So the drug industry, which is unrelated to the industry we're in, they've created a breakthrough drug called Ozempic. When you take Ozempic, you quit eating. People lose 50, 60 pounds. But the problem is there's a lot of side effects there, which they've all listed. So people now are saying, wait a minute, I don't want to take a shot that's $800 or $1,000 a month and then have a possible serious side effects, possible vision loss, things like that. So we're directly competitive to that industry. So that's an all-natural product that cuts out cravings. It increases ketones in the body by 80%. So what that means is you're burning fat just walking around, and it's an all-natural product. The second thing that we have when you talked about the Balance product, our company spent millions of dollars on research and development of this product. And what was fascinating about it is, once again, being science-based, they went and got clinical studies done, double-blind clinical studies of thousands of people. And the clinical studies were done at Cleveland Clinic Heart Hospital out of Ohio, which is the top heart hospital in the United States. Additional studies at UCLA, Stanford, Columbia, so on and so forth. So what I'm getting at is what Balance does. Balance has been shown to reverse type 2 diabetes in most people. Not everyone, everyone's a little bit different. But what the clinical studies said was, hey, if you take this Balance, you take Unimate in the morning, that extends your fasting. So, you think about it, you've been sleeping all night, and then you wake up in the morning. When you take Unimate, you don't eat, so you extend fasting, intermittent fasting. And then you'll take a Balance, 10, 15 minutes before lunch and dinner. And it's a matrix of soluble fibers, and there's a couple of patented items in there. And what that does is it knocks out insulin resistance and high blood sugar. So we're bathing in insulin and blood sugar constantly because of the modern food environment. And then you've got work and stress and no time to cook a good meal. So what this does, it readjusts all of the hormones in the body for men and women, which is a really big deal. And when you knock out the insulin resistance and the blood sugar, now what you've done is you've created a fat burning machine. And here's the best thing about it. You don't have to change what you eat. So if you're eating the wrong things, this fiber is going to latch on to the bad saturated fat and take it out of your system. You're going to start to get thin. So we've created, this is a wellness pack, and it's become so popular. We're now in the physician desk reference book, which is used by doctors around the globe. And then some of the neat things, one of the ways I've been able to, separate myself from some worthy competition, for example, in India, is we just literally take the clinical studies that were done and we hand them off to individuals and or medical professionals, and they can see within a couple of minutes, okay, there's not another product like it. So, very, very interesting product pack. And, I've been with the company a long time. We've got like some 400 products, but this product pack is absolutely knocking out the metabolic disorders and the insulin resistance. And so it's great that we can have that kind of an impact in the preventative healthcare industry, and very unique too.
So Unimate, I gotta take it in the morning. Okay. So the best thing to do,
take it in the morning.
This one, take it in the morning. This one before meals. Okay.
Correct. Your two biggest meals.
And you
lunch
said
and
they
dinner
have
usually.
all the products like protein, for example. If you're going to be traveling, you can take protein.
Yeah.
and some other
Yeah.
products. So that's great. No, that's good. Over $1 billion in sales.
Yeah. And
Okay, got to be good.
what's
Okay,
interesting,
so numbers don't lie.
one other thing. That's right. One other thing we did, Edgardo, you were talking about the industry, some of the changes. We've put this product pack, and we've got an exclusive product link for each distributor. When that goes out, it works in 60 countries. And when a member, just a customer, they have no interest or don't even know about the business, when they get the product pack, a CTA site comes up and it explains about intermittent fasting. It shows all the ingredients, shows the doctors. So people around the world can click and that lands on their doorstep. So the ability for us to be marketing, globally, allows us to make money while we sleep. And that's something we didn't have in the industry 15, 20 years ago. So again, a great example. It's not only our company, there's a lot of worthy competitors out there that are creating opportunities for the distributor. So pretty impressive.
Good. And Greg, based on your experience, where do you see the industry of the next 5, 10 years? Where do you think this industry is going?
I believe the industry is going to grow exponentially. And the reason is they're moving the cheese. And what I mean by that is the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And it's very evident. And, for whatever reason, politics aside, we have more people there. Edgardo, there was a Gallup poll, the Gallup poll. They, if you go to the Academy Awards, they say 2 billion people are watching. So the Gallup poll is very famous around the planet. The Gallup poll surveyed 25 million people in 189 countries. 87% of them said, I do not like what I do. And if I had an alternative form of income, I would go and do it. So what's driving this dissatisfaction? At the end of the day, corporations have figured out how to become more profitable, and over the years, all the benefits that your parents and maybe even people we know grew up with. So all of the 401ks by the companies and all of the insurance and the Christmas bonus and 2 or 3 weeks off, many of these, not all, but many of these have been separated. So the employees out there, 95% of the people building somebody else's dream, they're really looking for an alternative. And there are so many great worthy companies like ours out there. I see the industry growing, but I see the amount of companies shrinking because you've really got to be on top of your technology. You've really got to have some clinically proven products. It can't just be, something you whipped up in a garage and all of a sudden, it's the greatest thing since ketchup. You got to be really smart and clever these days. I think you got to be a little smarter. You got to have more capital, and you've got to really support the distributor force.
So let's go back a little bit about your sponsor in Unicity.
Okay.
From the beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
So he did the right thing. You say he did the right thing, inviting you to join the business.
He did.
So why did he
was
quit?
a real estate guy.
I mean, you're talking about over $1 billion in sales. Do you ever see him again? I mean, what happened?
This is a great question. It's going back so long. So when I started, obviously it took me a while there before I got lucky and opened the international markets. But, like most people, what's easy to do is also easy not to do. So it's pretty easy to get in our industry or any company. He jumped in, he was all excited, and then the next shiny penny came along and he was off on that. But I saw him, this is really interesting. I would say 10 years after I opened the international market, Korea, I saw him and he came up and he said, hey, he didn't even say Unicity. He says, hey, how's that thing going? How's that thing going? I just cracked up and I said, John, you don't want to know, but anyway, it happens.
Well, do you tell him how successful the business is going, or you just said, hey, you know what, you don't want to know?
Yeah, I did not get into the detail. I just said, hey, I think I said, hey, I opened our first international market. You definitely don't want to know how it's going. I didn't want him to feel any worse than that, but yeah. And I have never seen him since. And, it's interesting because it brings us back to a point that you asked about, how to build and stuff. I was kind of by myself in the marketplace, but I had such a great mentor upline. I searched for somebody upline that I could gravitate and relate to. And I said, hey, there's nobody out here. There's no meeting. There's, poor me, right? And my sponsor said, are you kidding? It's the greatest opportunity. You get to capture all the market share in that marketplace, build the leaders, and then go from state to state and hopefully country to country. So it worked out just fine.
And you know what? That's why you're going to have struggles at the beginning, challenges. And if you know your why, you're going to, you know what? Those challenges, you're going to overcome those challenges. Okay. So if you be patient, which is something I don't have, okay, I don't have patience, but you need to learn how
Yeah.
to go over those challenges and overcome those challenges because look at you, 30 years and you're still active,
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
I mean, involved in the
Been a while.
business because you can quit right now and still collect a check over and over and over again. That's the beauty of
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
business. That if anything happens
Yeah.
to you, like, for example, if you have an emergency and need to take off a month, 2 months, 3 months, okay,
Yeah.
you can still gonna get the same check. That's
Yeah.
what we call
Yeah.
residual income. And that's what I
Correct.
love about this industry, that you don't have a boss. You don't have a job that you have to go every single day and report or clock in, okay? And you
Yeah.
can start part time, and once you replace your full time, then you can go full time. So it's nothing
Yeah.
like you
And
have to get in all in and quit whatever you're doing. I don't think that's very smart. So,
yeah, I agree with you. In
so
fact, I tell some of the new partners that join, your best story is the fact that you're building part-time and that your part-time income is almost equivalent or is the same as your full-time income. That's a great story. Obviously, if you can go full-time, wonderful, but I don't recommend it. I recommend you build gradually, make sure the bills are paid through your traditional career, and then if you want to break and go big, you'll know when to do that. Very good point.
yeah. So, Greg, for all those people that are watching and saying, you know what? Greg has a great story. I would love to ask him a question or get in touch with him. Where is the best place for people to connect with you? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I would say my wife runs our social media, and by the way, my social media, our social media is really about quality of life. So Instagram, you go to Greg_McTee. If you go to our social media, you don't see me doing too much, but you'll see the quality of life, the family traveling. So my whole philosophy in social media is around family travel. Monday you're in Paris when everybody's on the freeway. But yeah, my unfortunately my Facebook got hacked, which was amazing. I had a big Facebook, but we're in process of rebuilding that. But Instagram's the best way to get a hold of us, and I'm very collaborative. I know a lot of colleagues in the industry, that have been in a long time. So I always am more on the collaborative side. If we're not a fit, I can recommend maybe one or two alternatives. And when you do that, when you do, what's right for the individual, that's the key. That's where you get the gratitude. May not be a fit for you, and that's okay. But you got to be straight up with people.
And we're going to put all those social medias right here on the channel. Okay. So you're going to
Yep.
be able to connect with Craig. I mean, he has so much value for the community, for the industry. And thank you for sharing all this on this channel, Greg, because it means a lot to me and to the community. So thank you for that. So Anything else that you want to share here on this channel?
I would just say it would be great for the listeners to watch your channel. Make sure they subscribe because you're interviewing, some pretty blessed people that have already carved out and know how to get to the top. And so, I would say probably the most important thing somebody could do other than, watching your program with all the different leaders is make sure that when you're looking at a company, you're dealing with a mentor who's actually done, what you're aspiring to do. So many times we come in and we have good intentions, but it's very important to work with a man or a woman that's already built it. So if you've got to go up line several levels, maybe your sponsor's a buddy around the corner that doesn't do much on the business. Continue to go up line until you find somebody that you align with, and then you want to find out how'd you do it, how'd you build it. Systems very important. One of the things that I did with my mentor, we have a complete system for the B2B, and of course we have a complete system for social media. Some people think it's all social media. I disagree. This is an eye-to-eye, toe-to-toe business. Social media, very incredibly important. You always have that as part of your business, and in some cases, if you're talented, you'll grow that even bigger. But you've got to have a fine balance of knowing how to build a global team of distributors in addition to a customer who might just be purchasing one single product. So, go up line and find those mentors who built it.
Greg, one of the things that you said, that you can be in Paris, you can be anywhere in the world, and still be involved in the business, doing either Zooms, calls.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this industry. I mean, I know you have a home in Hawaii, and you're in Hawaii, and most people say, "Oh, Greg, are you on vacation?" Well, you're on vacation. Either you're in California, you're in Vegas, or you're in Paris,
Yeah.
and
Or Hawaii.
anywhere, because this is
Yeah.
a business that you can do anywhere in the world. What do
Yeah.
you need? You just need what? Your most important tool is your your cell
Yeah.
phone.
Exactly. That's how advanced the technologies got. Yeah, absolutely. And quality of life. I mean, Edgardo, what are we really chasing at the end of the day? Whether you're in our industry or not, you're chasing freedom. You want to be free to get up. People hate Mondays. I love Mondays. I wake up, I have the coffee, I play with the English bulldog. I'll do maybe some emails for an hour. I head to the gym. When we're in California, I like to do, I call it date day. We do date night with the wife, but we go down to Laguna Beach or Newport, have a little lunch on the side. Then we're off at the gym by 3 o'clock before everybody comes to the gym. On Tuesday, we might be blessed to fly off somewhere. But people, they say, "Oh, you're so lucky." But like you said, they don't know what you've been through. And I just want to encourage everybody out there, no matter how bad or how rough it is, everything that you've been doing for the 5, 10, 15 years, it's all for a reason, and it's going to benefit you when you find the right company. So sometimes we think, "Oh, I've wasted so much time." You haven't. You have purposely been put in a situation where it might be difficult, but what that does, it shows what kind of a person you are. What kind of courage do you have? What did you learn from it? How did you get out of the big challenge that you had 7 years ago or 10 years ago? So many reasons to challenge the industry or have negative mindsets, but just keep focused on your why, work hard, and identify people that can take you to the top. Very, very important.
Great. So, Greg, do you want to leave a legacy? How do you want to be remembered?
Great question. Um, so on a personal level, just that a great husband, great father, real simple. On the business, that some of the partners have a little fun with me. They say, "Hey, you're a nation builder." No, the only reason I've been able to do what I've done is because of the team. So I want to be remembered as adding value to the marketplace I do know that the value I've added has changed a lot of lives, and that is, that's the full satisfaction. Focusing on materialistic things are temporary. They never amount to much, but that journey with the partners, the only reason we are at the positions that we are is because of the partner network and the customers. And so I would just say, good father, good husband who built a legacy income for the family.
Wow, that's amazing, my friend. So it's been an honor having you here on our show, Craig, and your friendship. I mean, we have so much fun with your wife, going for dinners,
Yeah,
just spending time, quality time. Okay, that's
yeah,
what I love about this industry because we have some great friends in Europe and all Latin America and in Asia, all over the place. Okay, if I go to a
yeah.
country, I have somebody there that is going to show me around the best places,
That's so
the best
cool.
restaurants.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's to me, I feel like, wow. I mean, to me, it's like, I mean, that means so much for me. And I know, you feel the same way because just spending
yeah,
time with people, sharing stories like we're doing here on this channel,
yeah,
and adding value to the community, adding
yeah,
value for the tomorrow,
yeah,
for tomorrow people that want to get on the industry or want to learn something that they can come and listen to you, your story, and some other leaders that is going to be a different story. Each person that
yeah.
comes in the industry, they're creating their own legacy, their own story.
Yes,
So that's why
yeah,
I'm so excited about
yeah,
what we're doing here. And once again, you know what? I feel blessed just get to know you and spending time with you, my friend. And we're gonna do this again, okay? Because we gotta do
yeah. That'd
this.
be fun.
I mean, this this interview with you again and see where you're at, the new countries that you're looking forward to open, and especially Latin America. I heard that you're gonna
Yeah,
be traveling to Latin America, opening some countries,
yeah,
like you- and and we're gonna come back with those stories, those countries that you're gonna be experienced. I don't know how many countries you've been in Latin America. Have you traveled?
I've been to quite a few, but what's interesting is because we're in California a lot and here in Vegas a lot. Uh, the Latin Spanish community is very dominant, and I've actually I know everybody's got a different higher power, but I've prayed to really meet somebody that is a real highly ethical, honorable businessman or woman in the Latin community. I've met them, and now all of a sudden there's 3 countries we're going to open here pretty soon. I think I told you, and but just to meet people like that and then go to these countries and go to the back streets and the restaurants and just become part of that community, that's the greatest gift at all. I mean, yeah, we'll do lots of sales and all that, but we're there to edify the new leaders, not us. The key is edification of the new leaders. But I'm really excited. I'm going to be learning a lot more about South America, for example. And I love that. I been every country in Asia, India, of course, Korea, Japan. My wife is Japanese. We go to Japan quite a bit. We love that country. It's amazing. But I'm feeling very honored to meet a lot of new Latin partners that really want to go big, that have been denied for one reason or another previously. So we'll keep the fingers crossed.
Yeah. So what countries is the company looking forward to open in
So
Latin
yeah,
America?
yeah. So we're in South America right now, in Colombia, and we're going to jump over to Peru, Argentina, Chile, eventually Brazil, of course, which is the biggest market. What's interesting is Unimate grows in Argentina. All of the really famous soccer players that people watch, on TV all the time, they're using the product. They've been using this for quite some time. So exciting market, lots of potential for sure.
Well, looking forward to that, to those stories here on the channel on the future, my friend. So thank you, my friend,
Hey,
for
and
being
we open
part of the
we're
family of this show, of this channel once again. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, been an honor having you here on the show, my friend. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, thank you,
And
Edgardo.
don't
Real
forget to
pleasure to be
subscribe
here.
and give us a like and comment right here on the channel. Comment right here on the channel. Bye bye, everyone.